Hello everyone, Tom with Capo Fetish. Let's talk about 1971. So in the past we talked about acclaimed albums of 1971. We've talked about unsung albums of 71. Today we're going to talk about brilliant albums from 71 that failed to dent the US charts. First album here I'm going to feature today is the third album by this band, and it features the classic lineup. I'm talking about Genesis, their Nursery Crime album. This is kind of where it all starts, their classic period. Peter Gabriel, Phil Collins, Mike Rutherford, Tony Banks, Steve Hackett, just an amazing quintet. And so we've got some of the early great Genesis songs on here. The musical box starts it off. We've got The Return of the Giant Hogweed, Fountain of Samosas, Harold the Barrel. We've got Seven Stones, and we've got two songs, one on side one and one on side two, that are real short little folk ditties, one called For Absent Friends and another one called Harlequin, which is one of my all-time favorite Genesis tracks. Even though it's like under 2 minutes, I just love the whole folky vibe of it and the melody. Just a fantastic record. I think they would get better with each album, but this again is kicking off the classic Genesis lineup. And then they would follow this with Foxtrot and Selling England by the Pound and The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway, but highly recommended if you're into prog rock, early 70s prog rock. And about a week ago, I saw this Genesis tribute band called the Musical Box. They're Canadian. It seems like they're always on tour, and they're always touring behind some classic Peter Gabriel era Genesis album. And on this particular show I saw a week ago, they are playing the complete Genesis live album in its entirety. Now there's a few tracks missing from here, like Supper's Ready, because it couldn't fit all on this record. But they played the whole thing in its entirety, and it was just fantastic. It was like the fifth time I've seen them. I've seen them do the Lamb Lies Down on Broadway tour and Selling England. But this one, they're just kind of concentrating on songs from Nursery Crime and Foxtrot and the album Trespass before Nursery Crime. So if you've never seen this act and they're coming through your town, highly suggested. I think they're the best tribute band out there. The musicianship is just absolutely stellar, just every nuance covered. The lead vocalist who does Peter Gabriel sounds exactly like Peter Gabriel. It's incredible. They have all the same props on stage, the costumes Gabriel wore. In fact, they've even been endorsed by Peter Gabriel. Again, the Musical Box, if you're into early Genesis Peter Gabriel era stuff, highly recommend seeing the Musical Box. They're on tour right now, performing this album in its entirety. Onward. So another great one here that failed to dent the U.S. charts is singer-songwriter Livingston Taylor. Now, he is the brother of James Taylor. This is his second solo album. The first one was self-titled in '70. This is a near-perfect record. If you've never heard it, pull it up. There was a single that was released from this album called Get Out of Bed. It's the first track on the album. Fantastic track. Other ones that I love are Open Your Eyes, Be That Way, On Broadway, Caroline. There's just really hardly a bad track on here. And it's on the classic pink Capricorn label here that, of course, the Allman Brothers were on and many other artists. And here's the inside cover of Livingston Taylor. Back cover. Really, really highly recommend this. Really good stuff. I bet you could find it anywhere in like a cutout bin or a used bin for $1 or $2. So the album Live, the second album by Livingston Taylor, and it's unbelievable how much his voice sounds just like James Taylor. It sounds exactly like James Taylor. His career never really took off like JT's, but he has a couple of solo albums that are musts. This one and his first solo album is titled Livingston Taylor. Highly recommended. Speaking of the Capricorn label, this is a country rock band that never really went anywhere, but they have a couple of just stellar albums in the early 70s. This is a double album that it compiles both their album Reach for the Sky and their second album from '71 called 5'll Get You 10. This double album is called Why Quit When You're Losing, Cowboy. And here's the back cover. So we're highlighting 5'll Get You 10. That title track is fantastic. Other tracks like Looking for You, 7/4 Tune, Right On Friend, Innocent Song, really good stuff. If you're looking for the original version of 5'll Get You 10, it just features a cowboy on the cover. Unlike this cover, just shows this kind of animated drawing of a cowboy. So that's highly recommended too. Really good country rock that never really went anywhere on the charts. No one really talks about them anymore. In fact, I think on their first album, Reach for the Sky, Dwayne Allman from the Allman Brothers made an appearance on that album. So I think he was he was a fan of this band as well. So Cowboy, if you find this album great, then you get both albums, Reach for the Sky and 5 Will Get You 10. But if you're looking for that album from 71, 5 Will Get You 10 is the album we're talking about today. So Cowboy, great stuff. Rodriguez, Search for Sugar Man. Huge film, amazing film, really just incredible. He put out two albums in the early 70s. First one, Cold Fact, which was a huge, huge deal in South Africa. His second album, Coming from Reality, is also a fine, fine album. And I think some of my favorites on here would be Climb Up on My Music, I Think of You. It Started Out So Nice. Bonus tracks on here. There's a fantastic track on here called Street Boy. Really, really, really great artist here. And we just lost him a couple years ago. I mean, he really had like an amazing last act. I saw him at I think it was the Orpheum in LA about 10 years ago. Great show, long show. I think he played just about every song from Cold Fact and this album here, Coming from Reality. So this is another great album. Never charted in the US, but it did get some notice when the Search for Sugar Man film came out, and I highly recommend it. Coming from Reality by Rodriguez, and also his first album, Cold Fact, a must-have. So an album I've featured a few times on this channel. Horrible film about a penis transplant, but the soundtrack is fantastic. I'm talking about the Kinks' Percy record. This wasn't even released in the US. I guess they realized that the film was a dud and it wasn't going to get any traction here in the US. Only released in the UK. But this features some of Ray Davies' best tracks from this period, this 71 period. Along with Muswell Hillbillies, this particular album here has some of his finest early 70s tracks. God's Children, The Way Love Used to Be, gorgeous track with some really beautiful orchestration. Moments is gorgeous. Animals in the Zoo is a fun track. Just Friends is very kind of campy and fun. Another great song is Dreams. And then there's Willesden Green, which was on the Kink Chronicles album, which features bassist John Dalton on a one and only lead vocal. So yeah, there's some incidental music on here, but the main tracks on here are absolutely frigging stellar. I absolutely, if you are into the Kinks or thinking about getting into the Kinks, pull up God's Children or pull up Moments. Those or The Way Love Used to Be. Those three tracks are just absolutely first-rate tracks there. So Percy, the Percy soundtrack from the Kinks from 1971, didn't make a dent on the charts here. I don't even think in the UK. Singer-songwriter Loudon Wainwright. This is his second album, album 2, a perfect album. Just very, very satirical, funny stuff here. There's a track on here called Motel Blues that Big Star covered on their live album, sung by Alex Chilton. Some other favorites on here. Me and My Friend the Cat is hysterical. Nice Jewish Girls. I Know I'm Unhappy, Suicide Song, Glenville Real, Saw Your Name in the Paper. The second side has Playing 2, Old Friend, Old Paint, Winter Song. It's just a singer-songwriter's delight. Loudon Wainwright, he's put out a lot of great albums. I think this is my favorite. This and album 3, I think, are my two favorites of his. And he also made sporadic appearances in the show MASH as well. So did a little bit of acting in the 70s. Loudon Wainwright, album 2. If you've never heard it, you must. Another one is Canterbury prog rock band Caravan, featuring Richard Sinclair, vocalist and bassist, who later formed Hatfield and the North. And I've talked about them a lot on this channel, Hatfield and the North. But of all the few Caravan albums I've heard, this is my favorite here. In the Land of Grey and Pink, an early 70s prog rock classic. And there's some bonus tracks on this CD that are really fantastic. I don't know his name. I don't know its name. Aristocracy. Really, really great stuff. That title track, In the Land of Grey and Pink, is so good. Winter Wine. Really, really fine early 70s prog here by Caravan. In the Land of Grey and Pink. And I don't think he even charted in the UK. So no charting in the UK, no charting in the US, but a prog rock classic. And I know I've featured this too many times on this channel, but I must, because it's so amazing. And when you discover this album, you will be delighted. And I'm talking about Judy Sill's debut album. I won't go into it, but I'll just say that every song in here is fantastic. It's a masterpiece of singer-songwriter, and it's a shame that this thing never got attention back in '71. It sounds timeless. It just stands up, I think, with just about any Joni Mitchell album. It's that good. So Judy Sill's debut album, from start to finish, just a songwriter classic. Do you have any more to enter into the comment section? We're talking about brilliant albums from '71 that failed to dent the charts in the US or the UK. Let me know in the comments section. As always, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. If you dig the content across the channel, press subscribe. It's absolutely free. And we will see you soon, folks. Take care. Bye-bye.